In each of these economies, Black Americans had three significant barriers to entry: lack of access, lack of infrastructure, and lack of ownership. America was in the past, and it is today, a divided nation. There's always someone who wants to take back this country from someone else who is apparently unaware that they've taken it. But America has evolved. But opportunities in education, the private sector workforce, and the capacity to compete in the proverbial free market has evolved at a much slower pace. With every effort, Black Americans were surrounded by manufactured institutional challenges that severely retarded progress throughout the 20th century and introduced conflicts both within the communities and between Black and white America. In the 21st century, in this innovation economy, there is hope. The nation and the world is changing and is currently in a state of rapid evolution and growth. Demographics are shifting and impacting political and economic powers. Technology is opening doors of access to opportunities. Yet, Black Americans continue to lack sufficient infrastructure, access, and ownership. There must be a sustained commitment and patient capital that seeks a long-term return on investment. America is changing, but fear of that change is ratcheting political rhetoric. We've come a long way over the past 40 years, and the pace of America's evolution is quickening. In 2050, this country's demographics will significantly shift. And if we don't prepare and equip all Americans to contribute in meaningful ways to the economy today, tomorrow's generation will suffer the consequences of our reluctance. But in the innovation economy, a new challenge has also been introduced: awareness. The lack of awareness of the processes of job growth and wealth creation in a new economy impacts Black Americans the most. Our struggles to overcome the past landscape that crippled our parents and grandparents continue. Without awareness that the economic game has been changed, our businesses and political leadership continue to communicate a message to the masses that is outdated and obsolete. Parents parrot that message to our youth, and our youth, most of whom will seek job opportunities with little more than a high school education, will find frustration instead. A high school education isn't enough to gain entry into middle-class America today. The marketing of higher education solely for the purpose of getting a good job ignores the reality of entrepreneurship, which is the principal wealth builder in the 21st century innovation economy. We talk about the lack of jobs in our communities, but we don't talk about the innovation economy and how jobs are created. Many of our journalists and elected officials don't raise these important issues. Our teachers, preachers, and community activists are unaware of the language, the infrastructure, the strategies, and the opportunities inherent in the innovation economy. The lack of awareness is pervasive, and therefore it is imperative that investment be made in creating widespread awareness. Today, multi-million-dollar businesses are built by teams of young people coding in their dorm rooms. Inventors tinker in their garages and emerge with products that make it to market in months. Black Americans, with few exceptions, are largely missing from that landscape. As investors and recipients of capital that scale companies and fuel growth, we are missing. To effectively address the consistent poor performance of its high-poverty public schools, where the percentage of student population is comprised of 89% minorities. Most of those students are not prepared with a core curriculum steeped in STEM. They have little hope of finding high-wage opportunities in today's advanced manufacturing and tech-driven sectors. And their innovative talents may never be realized because they lack the education required to bolster their creativity and capacity to contribute as innovators in the innovation economy. That must change. America sometimes peers down its nose upon those disconnected youth and those adults who were disconnected youth of the past. Black business owners lack access to capital. They lack an educational infrastructure that fosters and nurtures entrepreneurship. They lack generational knowledge, generational wealth, mentoring, networking, and support. For Black Americans, who were a targeted people through two economic eras, the innovation economy is an opportunity to work with all Americans to invest in building an infrastructure that creates access channels to entrepreneurship and ownership, which leads to a greater contribution to the overall economic competitiveness of the nation. The innovation economy represents a democratized landscape of opportunity, but without awareness, without infrastructure, without networks, without knowledge, we continue to lack access and ownership. The result is predictable. We all must work together to change this dynamic. If we intend to participate, compete, and contribute to America's new innovation economy, then we must strategize, plan, and act today. Tomorrow's future is at stake today. We must organize across the nation and reach across the racial divides and work together to develop an inclusive economic framework that invests in the potential of all our nation's talent. Now, this is an enormous challenge. When policymakers convene and economic strategists conduct their research, they should take a look around the table and see who is missing. That's the data that will be missing. Access to leadership networks can result in an inclusive framework that empowers disconnected people who bring new energy, creativity, and talent to bolster existing infrastructures. Strong economic infrastructures, from the pipeline of education to the productivity of entrepreneurship, will create new wealth and boost the economic competitiveness of this region and the nation. Now, I believe in America. More importantly, I believe in the potential of America to be better than it was in the past. I believe in the future of America, all of this nation, which is a multicultural melting pot of enormous talent. In closing, I look forward to witnessing progress in Seattle's established innovation ecosystem. Thank you.